Good afternoon. Welcome to our online program, Our Environment, Our Lifeline. Today's topic is e-waste. What is e-waste? Electronic waste or e-waste describes discarded electrical or electronic devices, used electronics which are destined for reuse, resale, salvage, recycling, or disposal are also considered as e-waste. Sources of e-waste: waste generated from products used for data processing, such as computers, computer devices like monitors, speakers, keyboards, printers, etc. Electronic devices used for entertainment like TV, DVD, and CD players. Equipment or devices used for communication like landline phones, mobile phones, fax, etc. Household equipments like vacuum cleaner, microwave ovens, washing machines, air conditioners, etc. Composition of e-waste consists of ferrous and non-ferrous metals, plastics, glass, etc. The pie chart shows you different composition of materials present in e-waste. Is e-waste hazardous? E-waste is not hazardous waste. However, the hazardous constituents present in the e-waste render it hazardous. They pose hazards to health and environment when e-waste is dismantled and processed. Informal processing of e-waste in developing countries can lead to adverse human health effects and environmental pollution. Toxic constituents in e-waste. The components on your left-hand side and constituents present in that on your right-hand side. In printed circuit boards, you have lead and cadmium. In cathode ray tubes or picture tubes, what we say, we have lead oxide and cadmium. Switches and flat screen monitors, which has got mercury. Computer batteries consist of cadmium. Capacitors and transformers have polychlorinated biphenyls. Printed circuit boards and plastic. Brominated flame retardant casings cable. Cable insulation coating, polyvinyl chloride. Effects of e-waste on the environment. Emissions from e-waste create environmental damage. Toxic chemicals from e-waste enter the soil, crop, food pathway. These are non-biodegradable and cause soil pollution. E-waste dumping yards and its nearby places are polluted and cause health hazards. Effects of e-waste on human body. The elements which are present on the e-waste: lead, chromium, cadmium, mercury, and plastics including PVC. And what are the effects it does in human body? Lead damages to central nervous system, blood systems, and kidneys. Chromium, asthmatic bronchitis, lung cancer, and DNA damage. Cadmium causes neural damage, affects kidney and soften bones. It also causes severe pain in the joints and spine. Mercury, it affects the central nervous system, kidneys, and immune system. Plastics, including PVC. Burning of plastics produce dioxins. It causes reproductive and developmental problems and damages the immune system. Harmful effects, health effects of e-waste. These are different types of effects. E-waste, a brief history. The period between 1984 and 1990 has been called as the golden period, witnessing continuous and rapid growth in the electronics industry. Since 1990, the Indian economy moved away from being tightly regulated by the government to the regime of liberalization and opening up to the global economy. India is one of the largest electronics markets in the world. It is further anticipated to reach $4 billion by 2025. The consumer electronics and appliances industry in India is expected to become the fifth largest in the world by 2025. India is expected to become $28.3 billion consumer electronics industry by 2021. How do these become e-waste? Advancement in technology, changes in style, fashion, and status, becoming obsolete, not taking precautions while handling. E-waste generation in India. Globally, about 20 to 50 million tons of e-waste are disposed of each year, which accounts for 5% of all municipal solid waste. The global volume of e-waste generated is expected to reach 52.2 million tons or 6.8 kg per inhabitant by 2021 from 44.7 million tons in 2016 at a compound annual growth rate of 20%. This is according to a study on electricals and electronics manufacturing in India conducted by the Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, ASSOCHAM. Annually, computer devices account for nearly 70% of e-waste. 12% comes from the telecom sector, 8% from medical equipment, and 7% from electric equipments. The government, public sector companies, and private sector companies generate nearly 75% of electronic waste, with the contribution of individual households being only 16%. There are 10 states that contribute to 70% of the total e-waste generated in the country, while 65 cities generate more than 60% of the total e-waste in India. Among the top 10 cities generating e-waste are Mumbai, which ranks the first, followed by Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Pune, Surat, and Nagpur. Methods of disposal of e-waste. Why we should ensure safe disposal of these? Because landfill disposal allows heavy metals to leach into groundwater. Incineration makes hazardous materials airborne. Acid baths are dangerous and cause water and soil contamination. Methods of e-waste recycling. E-waste recycling is presently concentrated in the informal, or we are calling it unorganized sector. No organized collection system is prevailing. Operations are mostly illegal. Processes are highly polluting. Recycling operations engage in disassembly, dismantling, upgrading, materials recovery. Disassembly or dismantling. It is a systematic removal of components, parts, or a group of parts or a sub-assembly from a product in e-waste. Upgrading. It includes commenting and separation of materials using mechanical, physical, or metallurgical processing. Methods to recover materials include incineration or refining. Materials recovery. The materials are recovered by recycling facilities. The plastic, glass, metals can be recovered by sorting them before mixing them with other wastes. Advantage of recycling e-waste. Asset recovery, reduction of need for landfills, reduction of junk and clutters, resale and reuse, creation of jobs. Concerns in informal recycling. It involves high-risk backyard operation, efficient and environmental damaging technologies, occupational and other environmental hazards, loss of resources due to inefficient processes, impacts of vulnerable social groups, especially women, children, and migrant laborers. Responsibilities of the government. Should set up regulatory agencies in each district, an adequate system of laws, strict regulations against e-waste dumping, heavy penalties on industries, and to encourage NGOs. Responsibilities of the industries. Use label materials to assist in recycling, particularly plastics. Standardize components for easy disassembly. Re-evaluate cheap products use, make product cycle cheap, create computer components and peripherals of biodegradable materials, utilize technology sharing, particularly for manufacturing and demanufacturing, encourage, promote, require green procurement for corporate buyers. Responsibilities of the citizen. Recycling raw materials from end-of-life electronics is the most effective solution to the growing e-waste problem. E-waste should never be disposed with garbage and other household waste. E-waste should be segregated at the site and sold or donated to various organizations. Reuse, in addition to being an environmentally preferable alternative, also benefits society. By donating used electronics, schools, non-profit organizations, and lower income families can afford to use equipment that they otherwise could not afford. Regulations. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is primarily responsible for regulations regarding electronic waste. Additionally, the Central Pollution Control Board, the CPCB, and the State Pollution Control Board's SPCB can bring out implementation procedures to ensure proper management of rules set forth by Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. E-Waste Management and Handling Rules 2011. The rules stated that all manufacturers and importers of electronic goods were required to come up with a plan to manage their electronic waste. Producers or importers have to establish e-waste collection centers or employ take-back systems. These rules also mandated that sellers of electronic goods must provide consumers with information on how to properly dispose of the electronics in order to prevent people from dumping their electronics with domestic waste. E-Waste Management Rules 2016. The E-Waste Management Rules 2016 replaced the E-Waste Management and Handling Rules 2011. This set of rules clarifies duties of responsible parties, enacts more stringent regulations on e-waste production, as well as clarifies the general definition of e-waste. A major concept presented in these rules is the idea of extended producer responsibility or EPR. Producers of electronic products must implement EPR in order to ensure that their electronic waste is delivered to authorized recyclers or dismantlers. These rules establish and place specific responsibilities for each party involved in the production, disposal, and management of electronic waste. Amendment to the E-Waste Management Rules 2018. This amendment relaxes certain aspects of the strict e-waste management rules of 2016. Specifically, the amendment focuses on e-waste collection targets by 10% during 2017 and 18, 20% during 2018-19, 30% during 2019 to 2020, and so on. This amendment also gives the Central Pollution Control Board power to randomly select electronic equipment on the market to test for compliance of rules. The financial cost associated with this testing shall be the responsibility of the government, whereas previously this responsibility was of the producer. Solutions. Follow simple lifestyle, recovery and reuse, volume reduction, production process modification, sustainable product design. Write your suggestions and feedback to our official email ID cpreec@gmail.com or subscribe us on YouTube to get notifications. To join the next meeting, link will be shared shortly to your email ID and WhatsApp. Thank you very much for your participation. Is there any questions you can ask? Thank you. And since there are no questions,